Hi, friends. This is Anastasia. So, I just wanted to share a little bit of my day with you today. It was very interesting, very fun, and there was a bit of a rockiness, got off to a rocky start, but I do want to talk a little bit tonight about going with the flow, which I had another big lesson in, and also a little bit about body image, and I'll share that at the end, which is tied into the beginning of the day. So I was blessed to go to a photo shoot this morning, afternoon. I went into the early afternoon, and this is a photo shoot that a friend of mine and I have been trying to schedule for at least a month, and it would get scheduled and then something would come up for the different parties involved. So I was traveling with a friend and we were going into just outside of Boston. The photographer that we worked with, this is her studio name, Amber, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Leilani Photography. And it's she's in Winchester and she's absolutely amazing and she does really, really incredible work. We just had the pictures done today. I haven't even selected which ones I'm going to purchase, and she's going to work her magic and make them even more special. So when I get a hold of them, I'll share them with folks. Um, my friend and I were signed up to do this, and it's sort of a special project that Amber put together. I think she called it the Goddess Series. So she reached out to women and just wanted them to feel really good about themselves and to dress up and have a fun day, afternoon, whatever time you spent with her. So, like I said, this was booked at least a month ago, at least. It could be even longer. And between the three of our schedules, it did actually get rescheduled 2 or 3 times, maybe even four. So, somebody was sick one week, then Amber's kids were sick the next week. Anyway, I was telling my friend it wasn't frustrating for me because I actually wanted a little more time to find a nice outfit and figure out what to do with my hair. And I thought that Amber would for sure. I didn't know her, but I thought, oh, she's got to be frustrated. She's, text messaging us and I guess it's like, people say like herding cats. So I guess when you're working one-on-one with people, it's a little easier. You get three people in the mix. But all of us were just really very understanding and very accommodating towards each other. So when one of us was sick, we of course understood, we couldn't we had to reschedule. I mean, it was just this is what happens, life, kids, sickness, scheduling. So we finally settled on today. I was really excited about the outfits that I had chosen. I went and got my hair done yesterday, which I have not had my hair styled in forever. So I went and I did that yesterday. And then something very interesting happened. I came home from the salon and I started to feel really crappy, like really crappy, um, like wobbly legs, and I started to feel chills. Um, and so I wasn't feeling good. And I was like, what's going on? What's going on? Um, oh, hi, Tracy. Thank you. So I did everything I could because I didn't know if I was really sick. Sometimes I feel a little funny for like an hour or two and then it passes. Um, and I got up this morning. I was thirsty and pounding water, at like 4 in the morning, still not feeling good. Um, anyway, I called my friend because we had been talking yesterday. What are you going to wear? How are you going to do your hair? We both like went to get our hair done. Um, and mind you, like this is the first photo shoot I've done. I did one that was like 10 minutes last year, but this was like my first real photo shoot. So I was definitely anxious, nervous, excited, all of those things. So I called my friend this morning and I was like, you know what? I feel really bad. I don't know if I'm really sick or if this will pass. I don't want to get you sick. I'd be riding in the car with her. I don't want to get Amber sick for sure. You know, so I was talking to my friend and I said, you know what? I'm curling my hair as we talked because my curls had kind of fallen out. So I said, I'm curling my hair. I'm putting on my makeup. I'm going to get in the car and I'm going to drive to your place. And if I still feel bad, I'll just come back home. Or I said, I'll drive in with you. I mean, if I don't feel contagious, I'll drive in with you and I'll watch you and support you and then I'll reschedule. And she said she was fine with that. Well, I got everything packed in the car and guess what? My car wouldn't start. I was like, all right, am I self-sabotaging myself with all the delays in the rescheduling and kind of putting off finding a dress at the last, like I am a master procrastinator. Let's just put it that way. For some reason, when I feel the pressure of last minute, that's when I really shine. I remember in school, we'd get like our assignment to write a paper or whatever. We had a month. Let's say we had a month. I don't remember how long, and I'd wait and wait and wait. 2 weeks in, I'm like, yeah, I don't have an idea yet. Nothing's brewing, nothing's simmering. I don't know what I'm going to write about. Yeah, I would literally be like the night before or 2 nights before. So this is just sort of my MO that I'm better like under pressure, I guess. I don't like it because it's stressful, but things get, I kind of come alive at the last minute. Okay, so car won't start. I call my neighbor across the street who works from home, and he's always very helpful, but he didn't pick up. And then I see another neighbor outside. I never see him outside ever because he works a lot. And I was like, oh my God, hi. Hi. He's actually a friend. He's my brother's friend and a friend. And so it's like, can you help me? I need a jump. So he came over to help me. And then the neighbor that I called originally came over and he helped me. So I've got these 2 gentlemen, very kind, helping me jump my car. It still won't start. Anyway, there was this weird thing with my my key, the component, to unlock and lock, which I don't even have a battery for. I don't even use it to unlock and lock my car, the beep, beep. Yeah, that fell out in the morning. And I was like, I need the key. I don't need the thing inside. I don't have a battery for it. Well, that's what was causing the car not to start. This little component, which blew my mind. I was like, I never use it. There's no battery. Crazy. Anyway, in the meantime, I call my friend and I'm like, this is what's going on. She's like, I'll come to get you. So this delayed us because if I had left on time, we would have gotten to the studio on time. But my friend was so incredibly supportive. She's like, I want to support you. I'm supporting you today. I'm coming to get you. All right. So she shows up. Meanwhile, I put the component, figure out it's the component, put that back in. My car's ready to go. But, we're still going to be like, I thought we were going to be an hour late. We ended up being like 40 minutes late. Okay. So we get there, put on our dresses. There's 2 other people and I wanted to go last because I just wanted to go last. So it was an interesting experience. Amber is amazing. She made us feel super comfortable and the pictures are really stunning. All of us. I'm not just talking about myself. Like she does really incredible work. So it was a lesson today in going with the flow because one of my neighbors that was helping me so he's just across the street, but he drove over to help me jump my car. And as he's pulling out of my driveway, he goes, relax. And I was like stressed out. He pulled away and what I was saying to myself was, this is relaxed for me. Like you have no idea how uptight I used to be, like how wound up I used to be. I was like, I know guys are most guys are much more chill. But I'm like, yeah, this is relaxed for me. It's just, he didn't know the whole history of postponing for a month and me not feeling well and me like almost not going. So it was like, here I am, like I'm almost at the finish line and the car won't start. So yeah, it was kind of funny. So relax. And then my friend was just great. I drove her car. Um, we made it in on time, no traffic. We were talking and having a good time. We get there. The whole thing was really fun, super fun, magical. Um, and yeah, just taught me to, relax and go with the flow. So um, I feel like when I'm by myself, I am a little more relaxed because if I mess up, I mess up and nobody else is depending on me. Like nobody else's plans are going to get screwed up if I mess up, if I'm on my own. But I really felt like, oh, my friend's got to come drive out of her way to come get me. And then we're making it to the shoot much later. And my friend had to be back for a 2:00 appointment, which she ended up having to reschedule. So just a lot of like moving pieces. Okay, so I did want to talk a little bit about body image too, because as the photo shoot was happening, and the reason that I wanted to watch the other women was just to, because there's a lot of directions. Stand here, tilt your head like this, put your hand here. And I just, I wanted to watch them. So when it got to me, I was, following the directions, and the pictures that she showed me were really lovely. Um, but I was, I had wanted to, I know this may sound silly, wanted to look a little better in the pictures as far as my weight. And as I've gotten older and there's been some stresses and things like that, I've put on some weight. And recently, and this I think has been true for me for many years, there's been some issues with hormones, like hormone imbalance. So now I am carrying a little more weight in my belly because of the hormones. So I was a little self-conscious about that. Um, the reason I'm bringing this up is just yesterday I had a conversation with a friend who's a guy, and I was telling him kind of the same thing, like, that I've gained weight, and we work together, so he knows me. So I said to him, when I was younger and thinner, I'd get a lot more attention from guys, and I didn't always like it, to be honest, but I got more attention. And as I put on weight, and for anybody out there that's a little older, or maybe you're not a little older, life happens and there's stress. And I said I didn't get as much attention, and I was fine with that. Um, but I'm looking at like my self-esteem issues, my body issues, my ideas of what I'd like to look like and what makes me feel good and what doesn't make me feel good. And as I was talking to him, I was like, really the most important thing is that we're healthy and that we're strong and that we're able to do the things that we need to do day to day. So when I say strong, like I'm not going to go to the gym to lift weights because I don't like the gym, but I need to be strong to work in the garden. Now that we're coming into spring, or we're in spring, I want to be outside, and I'm squatting and bending and pulling and lifting, like moving stuff around the garden with the wheelbarrow or rocks or whatever. And so I was like, it's about your health, and I want to be healthy. Do I want to look good? Of course I want to look good. If I'm carrying less weight, then I can do more things. I can be more active. And again, it came down to health. So I'm just sharing this because this is like something that I'm working on, actively working on strengthening my body. As some of you know, I mentioned that I had a fall in last August, and then I had another fall in December, and it's really highlighted that I needed to focus on rebuilding strength in my body and really kind of looking at some different health issues that I needed to address. So I think that I'll start to wrap up. What he said to me, because my friend is younger than me, and what he said, which I thought was really interesting, and I do want to. This part of the story is more important, but I wanted to give you a little background. He said, so we have a mutual friend in common, and both of these, they're young men, and they work out, they're in the gym, and they're really, pretty buff. And he said, so, I won't say his name, but he said, our friend, he said, he kind of says the same thing that you do, but for a different reason. Because he is so, his body's in such good physical shape and he's handsome. He says, I often wonder if people are looking at me because of how I look, meaning do they like me because of how I look? And like, that's it. And they're not seeing who I really am. So I guess it's similar to what I experienced when I was younger, in that when you're younger and, if you are in better shape and all of that, there's just a lot of focus, but you may not realize, or this young man was thinking, do people really like me for who I am? And he's a really wonderful human being. Or do they like me because they like my face or they like my body? And it just really made me think. I was like, wow, to hear that coming from a man, it was just very interesting. So it was just an interesting perspective. And at the end of the day, like for me, at the end of the day, it's who we are inside that matters. And it's what we think of ourselves that matters most. It doesn't really matter what other people think about us. It may matter to you. It may matter that your partner or your close friend, compliments you. But at the end of the day, it's really what's inside, because our bodies are constantly changing. The other night I was thinking to myself, I wake up in the morning and I have to drag around this meat suit. Like I literally have to drag around my meat suit. I have to feed it and water it and take good care of it. And yes, we do, because we're here on planet Earth and we're in a body. So yes, we have to take care of our meat suit. And I'm just being funny by saying dragging it around. But what is inside the meat suit for me is what's most important. Is your soul, is your heart, is your kindness, is your capacity to love, to give, to receive, all of those things. So I think, in looking back at today, I do have some kind of inner work to do around when I look at myself in the mirror, what I think and how I feel, because I wasn't fully in my body during the shoot, in the sense that not many of us do this regularly. On a regular basis, we go to photo shoots. And then you're looking at your pictures and the ladies were like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. All of us, we were saying that to each other because the pictures were stunning. But it's like to take that moment and to really take it in and go, wow, that's me. That's really me. And to shine and allow yourself to shine, because there is so much negative self-talk that we do ourselves. And there's a lot of, unfortunately, negative self-talk and just negativity that's out there in the real world on social media. There's a lot of good things on social media and in the real world. And then there is just that level of, can be negativity and criticism and all that. So again, how much do we want to listen to it? How much do we want to give it attention and energy? And we can do all of that if it serves us. For me, it's more important what I think about myself, how I feel about myself, and if I'm happy and healthy, that should really be it. I would like to look nice in the photos. Who doesn't? And, you know, another interesting thing I'll say, and maybe this will be the last thing that I share. And if anyone wants to leave a comment, this is kind of a little different live than I normally do, but if anyone wants to leave a comment, I would love to hear your thoughts. And I just lost what I was going to say. I lost my train of thought. Yeah. All right. So I might just have to end it there. Whatever it was, I think it was kind of good what I was leading into, but it's gone. So if I remember it, I'll just drop it in the comments. So thanks for anyone that joined live, and if you watch the replay, let me know. I did have a good time, and yeah, I actually would like to do more. I would like to get more comfortable with myself. This is it. Good. I'm glad I kept talking. So what I have found for me is when I take a picture, like, you know, if I take a picture now and I might be really super critical of it, and then I might look at myself a year later, 2 years later, 5 years later, and I'm like, wow, I look pretty good. Now, what's interesting is why was I so critical in that moment? And then why, with the lapse of time, do we look back and go, you know, I looked good there. So I think it for me, I just have to say, I think it's my critical monkey mind. I honestly don't know, can't say what else it could be, except that we are like super critical of ourselves. And yeah, I think as I get older, it's like that really doesn't matter. We're not going to be here forever and ever and ever. And if I can enjoy the time that I have on this planet with the people that I love and doing the things that I love, that is ultimately more important than, again, I'm going to just say, it's like, it's a meat suit, guys. There's your beautiful self inside, your beautiful soul, your beautiful spirit is inside. And we chose all of this. We chose it, but really it's like, is that who we really are? Or is who we really are what's on the inside? And how much love we put out and beam out and exude and pulsate. And I think that for me is, I can be as critical as I want of myself, but if I really want to be kind and loving, then I want to look at the qualities of myself and the qualities of a human being versus what they look like on the outside, because that changes all the time. I don't look like I did when I was 5 or when I was 2 or even when I was 20. Definitely don't look like that. And when I get into my even more elder years, I'm not going to look like I look like today. So anyway, just love yourselves as much as you can. Enjoy yourselves. Get out, move your body. Love your friends. I think that's all I want to say. And thanks for joining. I really appreciate you being here. Hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful night. And when I get my pictures, I will be sharing them. All right. Bye.